Hi guys, si Mr. X here. So, may nakita ako mga comments sa mga videos natin sa The 30-Minute Trader channel na gusto nyong malaman kung paano ang fundamental analysis. Okay, so ganito kasi yan. Fundamental analysis basically incorporates economics into your trading. Ngayon, para ma-explain ko yung fundamental analysis, kailangan natin mag-economics muna or makakuha ng skinny ng economics kahit hindi lahat. Kasi alam naman natin, it takes years to fully learn economics. Kaya nga, may college course tayo ng economics na 4 years, bachelor's degree, tapos may master's pa. Pero what I will do in this video is I will give you an idea kung paano yung economic flow ng isang country and yung mga info na medyo kailangan nyo lang in order to apply it to forex trading. So sige, meron ako na-prepare na whiteboard dito and mag-drawing tayo so that mas ma-visualize nyo kung paano nag-work ang economic cycle and mga data na kailangan nyo. And personally, what I use when I trade. When you want to study fundamental analysis, there are two things usually yung tinitignan natin. So first is yung tinatawag natin leading indicators. Okay? Yan. And then, yung second is yung lagging indicators. Okay? So, in a nutshell, ano ba yung ibig sabihin ng leading indicators tsaka yung lagging indicators? Leading indicators refer to economic data, bali preliminary data sila na makakapagbigay sa'yo ng idea kung gaano kalakas ang isang economy. The basic premise here is that generally, kung malakas yung economy ng isang country, nagfa-follow din yung strength ng isang currency. That's why ginagamit natin yung strength ng economy para i-determine kung tataas ang isang currency or bababa. Okay? So, very simply put, kung strong ang economy, strong ang currency. Kapag mahina ang economy, hihina din yung currency. So, parang chicken and egg thing lang yan. Yung maging question natin dito is, ano yung mga possible leading indicators natin? In order to know what the leading indicators are, kailangan kasi alam mo kung paano nag-work yung sa economic cycle. During the start of an economic month, for example, first of all, yung nire-record ng mga government is data such as business data. Okay. So, pag sinabi natin business data, yan yung parang data na nagsasabi kung kamusta yung environment ng business in the manufacturing, in the sales, and in the retail industry. So, yung mangyari dyan kasi is tinitignan natin kung kamusta yung galaw, yung mga iilang productivity metrics ang lumalabas doon sa businesses. And syempre, yung mas mabigat na industry ang titignan natin for each country. For example, US, mas mabigat siya sa services. The service industry usually makes up bulk of the US economy as compared to the manufacturing industry. So may mga ganyang bagay. To put in a nutshell, some of the business data na dapat tinitignan natin ay yung mga PMI. So pag sinabing PMI, yan yung manufacturing and services PMI. So this one will give you an idea kung kamusta yung growth ng services and manufacturing industry. So parehas silang PMI. Yung next is yung retail sales. Basically, ito yung pinapakita kung gaano kalakas yung productivity ng retail economy. Okay? So, these are examples of business data. So, another part of yung business data, syempre, is yung mga industrialization metrics. So, this one naman, tinitignan kung gaano kalakas yung industrialization ng country and then gaano kalakas yung paggalaw ng factories na mapagtatayo na infrastructure and all of those for the general industrialization of the country. That's industrialization metrics. So, if you combine all of those, para siyang leading indicators kasi if you know kung gaano kalakas yung business environment ng isang country, meron kang idea kung magiging gaano kalakas yung, for example, next na indicators niya like the productivity indicator, which is the GDP, and then the inflation, and so on and so forth. So this one, kaya tinatawag natin na leading indicators kasi siya yung preliminary na nagbibigay sa atin ng idea kung gaano kalakas or ano yung magiging strength ng isang economy. Aside from business data, there are also other economic leading indicators na pwede natin tignan. So aside from business data, other things include the employment data. So bakit important yung employment data? Kasi, syempre naman, ayaw natin na madaming unemployed sa isang country. If nag-grow yung mga unemployed, yung mangyari dyan, magsasuffer talaga yung country kasi bababa yung productivity kasi madaming unemployed. And then, yung resources ng economy has to be used even for those who are unemployed. Diba? The more jobs that are given, syempre, the lower the unemployment rate becomes. The lower the unemployment rate becomes, the better. So, yun yung mga employment data na tinitignan. Next, syempre naman, you can include this also in your leading indicators. Housing data. Pag sinabing housing data, yan yung mga data na nagsasabi kung ilang tao yung nagbibili ng bahay. So, this also measures yung spending power ng mga tao. And syempre, yung generally contributes to the real estate industry of the country. Another economic indicator na ginagamit ko are consumer confidence indicators. So, baka familiar kayo sa mga consumer confidence index, yung mga ganyan. Basically, consumer confidence index shows na kung gaano ka-confident yung mga tao sa economy. Generally, kung yung tao confident sa economy, they're willing to buy more, they're willing to spend more, they're willing to work harder para sa country. Generally, happy sila sa country. The higher the consumer confidence ang meron sa country, the better the chances na yung mga tao or yung mga participants in the market would want to also invest there. So, syempre, it means confident ang mga tao, confident ang sentiment ng tao doon sa economy. So, those are a few leading indicators. May mga mas specific dyan, pero we can go into that sa mga next few videos. So, ito lang, medyo overview lang yung pinapakita ko. Once you are able to understand all the leading indicators, yan na lang natin sa LI, i-combine mo lahat kasi yan, you will be able to get an idea of ano yung magiging GDP. Pag sinabi natin GDP, that's what you call the gross domestic product of yung country. So in a nutshell, no, to put it simply, yung GDP measures the productivity of a country. The higher the GDP, the better. Syempre naman, para sa country, it means na malalakas ang productivity ng country. So that means business environment is good, people are generally employed, a high number are employed, wala naman masyadong unemployed, the housing market is good, people are happy with the country. So lahat yung nagko-contribute sa GDP, syempre yung business data yung nagko-contribute dyan. Pero if you put all of those factors together, you will get a good GDP. And then, syempre, kapag maganda yung GDP, this will lead to the inflation data. So, yung inflation data, usually, naka-branch yan into yung CPI and then yung PPI. So, yung CPI and PPI is basically yung inflation from two different point of views. CPI is the inflation from the consumer point of view. Okay? PPI naman is from the producer point of view. So, pag sinabing consumer point of view, yung pagtataas ng consumer goods and services, yung prices. Pag sinabing producer, goods and services, yung prices para makapag-produce ng consumer goods. Okay? Contrary to what most people think, the rising of the inflation is actually good for the currency. Okay? And also, it's good for the country. Kasi it means na tumataas yung value ng goods and services sa country. Generally, tumataas ang value ng country. However, ito yung thing. When we look at inflation, hindi siya pwedeng masyadong mataas, hindi siya pwedeng masyadong mababa. That's why the central bank will use the interest rate to balance your CPI or yung PPI or yung inflation in general. So para sa ating mga traders, let's say the US economy has a high CPI. Good for the country yan kasi it means na lumalakas yung country. So syempre tayo naman as traders, lumalakas yung country, lumalakas USD, let's buy USD. Parang ganyan yung logic kapag sa funda. Pero syempre, pagdating sa central bank, if the inflation reaches somewhat of a too high of a level, magiging concerned yan kasi they can reach a point of what is called hyperinflation wherein yung goods and services nagiging sobrang mahal na hindi na kayang i-afford ng tao. Alright? What the central bank would do is they would either raise or maintain or shoot down interest rates. So, ano yung nangyayari dyan? So, if the inflation is way too high, yung ginagawa ng central bank is tinataas nila yung inflation rate. Ano ba ang effects kapag tinaas ang inflation rate? What would happen is that yung interest rate ng bangko, okay? So, this would be, let's say, yung mga loans, business loans, housing loans, car loans, etc. tataas. And then, syempre, yung mga loans ng deposit accounts, ng mga bonds, yung mga money market, ganyan. Yung interest rate niyan tataas din kasi uniform yan sa central bank. When that happens, ano ba yung behavior ng tao? Yung behavior ng tao is ayaw nila mag-business loan, ayaw nila mag-loan. Syempre, kasi taas na interest rate. Why would you want to pay extra? So, ang gagawin nila, since mataas yung interest rate ng, let's say, yung mga bonds or yung mga deposit accounts, lalagay na lang nila dyan para masulit, di ba? So, if the money is not circulated in the market, bababa yung inflation. Kasi the inflation, parang isipin mo, blood pressure lang yan. Kapag masyadong madaming dugo yung nagfa-flow, high blood ka. That's why meron tayong medicine para kumalma yung flow ng blood. So, ganun din, the money is like yung blood. Kakalma siya kung tinaasan mo yung interest rate. So, that's option 1. Ngayon, there might be yung chance na, let's say, mababa business data, bumaba GDP, bumaba din yung inflation. When that happens, yung inflation naman, may tendency na baka umabot naman sa recession. Okay? The opposite of that is putting down the interest rate, which yan most likely gagawin ng central bank sa interest rate para ma-boost yung economy. Okay? So, para ma-boost yung economy, ano bang gagawin ng central bank? Gagawin niya ay ibababa niya yung interest rate of loans, bank loans, it's housing loan, etc. Bababa din nila yung loans of deposit accounts. So, when that happens, wala kang gana mag-iwan ng pera sa bangko, pero mas maganda mag-loan ka. Okay, mag-car loan ka para bumili ng car. Mag-business loan ka para tumayo ng business or whatever loan para, just to get the money flowing in the market. So, when that happens, in theory, syempre, tataas dapat yung inflation para mabalance siya. From the point of view of the central bank, ayaw nilang masyadong mataas yung inflation, ayaw nilang masyadong mababa. So, from the trader's point of view naman, kapag tumaas ang inflation rate, usually, we would call it a bullish move. Bakit? Kasi even if gusto ni central bank i-control ang inflation rate, it just means na already malakas siya. So that means yung tao willing maglagay ng pera sa loob ng country kasi already malakas siya. Kasi kung hindi siya malakas, central bank won't need to push up the interest rates. So that's why usually, kapag mataas yung interest rate, yun yung inaabangan ng mga traders eh. Kung mataas yung interest rate, yung nangyari dyan ay nagiging bullish ang isang currency. And then the opposite happens kapag binababa ang interest rate. It just means na masyadong mahina ang economy and it needs to be fixed. So kapag ganyan, nile-let go ng tao yung investment nila sa country na yan. So that's basically how the economic cycle works for a forex trader. So ganyan yung basic fundamental analysis eh. Most of the data you can actually find in Forex Factory, pero this is how the cycle works. So just to recap how the cycle works is meron tayong business data, meron tayong consumer confidence index, meron tayong mga employment data, etc., and other leading indicators that will show you kung saan papunta ang direction economy. Ngayon, yung GDP is the result of all of the leading indicators put together, accumulated doon sa month na yan. And then yung GDP, yung magli-lead sa kung tataas or bababa yung inflation. So yung GDP and inflation, usually they go hand in hand. And then, kapag lumabas na yung inflation data, dun na ibe-basis ni central bank whether itataas nila or ibababa nila yung interest rate. So if you know all of these things, then makakadiskarte ka or makakuha ka ng onting forecast kung magiging malakas or mahina ang isang currency. Then you can use that para idagdag as extra confirmation sa iyong magiging bias. So, at least ngayon, meron kayong skinny on how fundamental analysis works, how an economic cycle works from the eyes of a simple forex trader. Then, yung next naman is you will need to know more about yung details kung paano natin to gagamitin. So, we can tackle some of the indicators in maybe some of the next videos, pero at least meron kayong idea already. Alright, so I hope you were able to learn more about fundamental analysis. Pero if you want more formal training on Forex as a whole, and syempre, on more about fundamental analysis, then click the link below. And syempre, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. I'll see you in the next video.